Hello, everyone. Excuse me. Hello. Sorry about that slight delay there. It has not been taking me as long to set up, which is great. That's really good news for, being a little bit more flexible with streaming. But today was one of those days where I took it too far. I was like, oh, it hasn't been taking me too long to set up. I have time to eat dinner and just take my time doing other things. And then then it was 6 o'clock and I hadn't set a bunch of stuff up yet. So thank you all for your patience. Hello, it's so good to see you all. See you all in the chat. Hi, Sarah and Joe and Sam and Allison and Mikey and I already said Sarah and Limical. Welcome. Glad you were all getting some dinner, getting some snacks while you waited on me. Yeah, happy Monday, Mikey. Hello to my fellow crafty people. Vegetarian chili and edamame sounds tasty, Sarah. I cannot have edamame, which is sad because I used to love it, but soy kind of bothers me now. And unlike dairy, which also bothers me, or lactose rather, they do not yet have pills for soy intolerance, which is annoying. It means I have to avoid it even more than I avoid lactose, because for lactose I can take a pill to a certain extent. Yeah, I can't really have soy sauce, which I tend to forget about when I go to sushi restaurants. Like, I'll get sushi takeout, or sometimes buy it at the grocery store. Wednesdays, it's $6. It's great. But when I bring it home, I have like a soy sauce alternative. It's called coconut aminos, and it's sweeter than soy sauce. I don't love it, but it does the job. But then I'll forget if I go somewhere, and then I'm like, oh right, I can't have any sauces with my sushi. I guess I just need to start liking ginger and wasabi more and doing that. Or so many sushi rolls will come with all kinds of other things on them, although those are often soy based, like different teriyakis and stuff. I don't know. I'm starting to realize that I think things kind of like teriyaki maybe don't bother me that much, but straight up bowl of edamame or just a bunch of soy sauce, I'm in trouble. Return to Oz, Ace asks, like that movie? Yes, like that movie. Not as creepy. The stream is not going to be that creepy, but yes, that was the notification reference for anyone who gets push notifications when I go live. It said Return to Oz, because we're going to have the return of the, it's upside down, Emerald City cross stitch. Folks who have been around the last few weeks, I mean, I've been doing a Wingspan project for weeks and weeks and weeks. I was organizing the VODs recently, and it's been at least 7 weeks of Wingspan. Not completely straight, but it's been a lot of Wingspan. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. But also, folks who have been coming most weeks will know that I have also been talking about just longing for a normal cross-stitch project. I'm doing all these very creative things like 3D cross-stitching and cross-stitching on clothing, and it's all very, very fun, and I'm excited to work on those projects. But it's also just it's not quite as much of a turn your brain off kind of thing as a more simple 2D on some even weave or Aida cloth. And so I wanted to get back to that today. And so that's what we're going to do in a bit. But first, I want to do let's work on the warm-up project. Is this upside down? No, it's just my waffle is upside down. That's it. For a minute, I thought my whole camera was upside down, but it's just the waffle. That's it. Okay, here we are. This was definitely I just ran onto the stream. It doesn't waffle. Yeah, it was waffle. By the way, thank you to everyone who bought some merch last month when that big merch sale was happening. It was a warehouse cleaning with my merch distributor, DFTBA, and all of my stuff is gone. It is now currently being shipped to my house, where hopefully I will sell it at some craft fairs. I probably will not sell anything online because I don't think that I want to go through the work of sort of setting some store up online for merch that is like old stock, you know? I am trying to think of like new merch that I want to make, and I'll be working with DFTBA again to get my shop back up and running there once I have new ideas. But all the old stuff, I think I'm just gonna sell at craft fairs, or maybe I'll do some giveaways. Like if we do some like charity subathons or something like that in the future, maybe I'll do some giveaways. But thank you so much to those of you who did buy things, because a lot of folks did, and I really appreciate it, because I would, you know, much rather people were able to get some of that stuff while it was really cheap and on sale, versus just sitting in my basement. So I'm grateful to all of you bought stuff. I'm glad folks did. So thank you for that. For anyone who's like, what is he talking about? This little needle minder is actually a lapel pin that was part of my merch from many eras ago in my life as a creator. Hold on to it for a decade and then sell it online. Yeah, that worked out really well for you, Limical. That was a good strategy. I feel like that's close to what this was. Some of that merch is, I don't know when my merch store launched, but like it was around 2016. So actually that's a little bit what I already did. Some of that merch was close to 10 years old. Just going back up to Return to Oz, Ace says, I've never actually seen it, but wanted to once I read a few of the original Oz books, heard the movies inspired by the second and third books. Okay. Here's what you need to know, Ace, because I also know that you are like of a generation of folks who would have seen Return to Oz on home video. So maybe a lot of your peers have, and they've talked about it. It's creepy. It is scary. Even as an adult, it is a creepy movie. You have touched a special interest. But I can talk more about Return to Oz when we get to that cross stitch, but I will say for now, it is technically based on the second and third books. An argument could be made that it is more true to those books than the 1939 MGM Wizard of Oz film that we're all familiar with is to the first one. Like it gets into some of the weirder Oz stuff that a lot of people who haven't read subsequent Oz books or haven't read the first Wizard of Oz aren't aware of, like how freaking weird it is. And I think Return to Oz is sufficiently weird. But it also like sets up this strange premise where like Dorothy has been institutionalized because of the stuff she's talking about with Oz. And then it also has this thing that is not in the books where like Oz has become this like desolate, tyrannical landscape or something like that. So that's what makes it creepy, and that's the stuff that's not true to the book. But you get some of the stuff from the books, like you get TikTok, the robot-ish character, Mechanical Man. You get the Wheelers, you get like lunchboxes growing on trees, and the princess lady who like changes her head every day. You get a lot of that stuff, and the Gnome King. So that's all very cool. Oh, people point out that the Muppets Wizard of Oz has more aspects true to the book than the 1939 movie. I have slept on the Muppets Wizard of Oz for years, which is nuts because I love Wizard of Oz and I love the Muppets, and somehow I have still never seen it, but I've never heard that about it. So that is very interesting and exciting to me, and I think has bumped that up in my to-watch list. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, I'm actually gonna start stitching things now. Well, so I wouldn't actually say that the plot points are true. Some of them, kind of. I think it's more that, like, the characters and the world building is more true than other adaptations. I don't know. Like, yeah, I think it just gets into the weird side of L. Frank Baum's writing, and it brings to the screen a lot of elements that are not brought to the screen in many other Oz adaptations. I would say it's actually maybe the plot points that are not the same. Like, I think Dorothy takes up some of Pip's plot lines, I think. I'm pretty sure Jack Pumpkinhead is in it. Anyways, but it's, I would definitely check it out. But yes, getting to this cross-stitching, I believe, from what I can see, that while I was offline this week, I got a subscription from Kevimation. So if you're watching Kevimation, this little stitch is for you. Thank you for subscribing. Subscribers and resubs get, and gift subs and everything, get a stitch that helps hold up the spools. You are building the shelf to hold up the spools on which we depend. You are supporting both the subshelf and the channel, literally and metaphorically. And for folks who don't know what I'm doing here or want to check in on the color coding, just put in the chat what this warm-up is. Sarah never knew about the Muppets version. Well, I think to Ace's point, it is the least popular Muppet movie, and there are a lot of people who don't know about it. Oh, that's great. Ace, are you saying that the things that are in the Muppet Wizard of Oz that are true to the book? Because that's very exciting. I really like adaptations that include the spectacles when people enter the Emerald City. That's something in the book, is that the Emerald City is not actually emerald. It's all white. It's bright white, but people are duped into thinking it's green because when you enter, you are required to wear spectacles that are like strapped around your head, and you're told it's because, oh, it's so bright emerald that it's gonna hurt your eyes, so you have to wear these like sunglasses. But the sunglasses are actually tinted green, and so it's like tricking people. And some people think that L. Frank Baum was inspired by the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, which was called like the White City, because they built a lot of brand new buildings for the World's Fair that were all this white marble or maybe some other structure. And we know that L. Frank Baum attended the World's Fair. He was living in Chicago at the time. So there's a number of things at the World's Fair, the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, and other things going on in Chicago in the late 19th century that people think inspired L. Frank Baum for various elements of The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, you didn't unlock a special interest at all, Ace. Oh, that's very funny that there's a game show where people ask and they all get it wrong. I feel like I would be nervous about answering that. Like, I think if someone buzzed in before me and said green and they got it wrong, I would very confidently buzz in and say white. But I think I would, like, I would second guess the question writers of if white was correct. I think it would depend on the context of the game show. I am potentially going to some literary trivia this weekend, and so I have been trying to, like, keep up on my literary trivia, like, in my head. I'm trying to remember, like, pen names and, like, original names of people who went by pen names. Oh, and I already forgot George Eliot's name. Mary Evans, maybe? Does anyone know? Let me know. What was the first year of the 20th century? Was it 1901? Is that, like, the trick? Or was it 1900? So curious. You've unlocked the trivia side of me now as well. Okay, let's make today's spool. What have I been doing lately? I've been doing, like, just enough floss to get the 10 stitches that I need. That looks good. Okay. First was 1901. There's technically no year zero, so 180 is the 100th year, making it the last year of the... So I remember people saying that a lot around 1999 and 2000, of like, oh, 2000's not actually the first year. But that was a big gotcha point in the year 2000. If I can bring this down a bit more. How are other folks doing? Welcome into the stream. Me and Ace have just been nerding out about Wizard of Oz and other trivia. Hope you're all doing well. What kind of crafts are... Oh, why did I just pull the needle off? That was a silly thing that I did. Yeah, what things are people crafting or working on tonight? Or, as is often the case, what are you having for dinner before you craft? Love to hear what everyone is doing while you watch the stream. Or maybe you're just watching the stream, but that's a more rare thing. I kind of advertise it as a little bit of a body doubling, a community activity kind of night. Crafting report card comments. Joe, I did not realize you were a teacher. That's pretty cool. Oh, this also needs to go over here. Do I recommend the Books of Wonder editions? I 100% do. Books of Wonder is, for folks who do not know, it is a bookstore in New York City. It's like a children's bookstore primarily, but they also specialize in The Wizard of Oz. And sometime close to the like centennial of The Wizard of Oz, so like in the 1990s, they republished the 14 original Oz books by L. Frank Baum under their Books of Wonder imprint, and they had a bunch of the John R. Neal original illustrations, but also like they like retouched a lot of them, and so some of the covers have like glittery elements to the illustrations. They're very nice. They are beautiful editions. In terms of anything like the textual editing, I don't know too much about that, but those are the versions that I largely grew up with. I got very excited by, and Books of Wonder is like an awesome company to support because you're essentially supporting a small children's bookstore. And they also house a lot of rare editions of Oz books and all kinds of other Oz paraphernalia. So if anyone who's into The Wizard of Oz or is into children's literature is ever in New York City, I highly recommend visiting Books of Wonder. If you go to the back, they have all of the rare books and stuff on display. They seem like the definitive editions of Oz books. I am not enough of an Ozian to really know. I'm sure there are debates, but I would personally say that yes, they are currently the definitive editions. Yeah, Kansas failed to not have this bookstore in its borders. Kansas does have a lot of Wizard of Oz stuff, but yeah, this bookstore, I can't fully remember the history of it. I will say that I had been a few times when I lived in New York, and it was on my like leaving New York City bucket list to visit one more time. Specifically, I was trying to find a copy of Jack Pumpkinhead in Oz, which is not one of the original 14. It was it's one of the ones that was written by like an authorized author after the fact. But I had also I've been meaning to make a video about this, but I'll tell most of the details to all of you here on Twitch, and then one day you'll see the video and maybe it'll be a little bit different. I had recently been listening, like marathon listening to a podcast called Down the Yellow Brick Pod, which is hosted by two folks who both at least previously worked as actors. I don't know if they both still work as actors, but they met while they were like touring on the national company of a show, and both got really into Wizard of Oz and like all the Oz books. And so the podcast has been like a read through of a lot of the Oz books, but they will also do like deep dives on different adaptations. So the Muppet movie, The Wiz, various stage productions, and they've done a lot of Wicked content, and I think some of it's been very official. I think they had an episode where they talked to Gregory Maguire. So when I went to Books of Wonder, I had been like listening to that podcast a lot, and I got to talking with some employees at Books of Wonder, and they were like, oh yeah, one of the hosts works here now. Like, she's not working today, you missed her, but she works here now. And I was like, that is so cool. That was the first piece of like cool coincidence. But then the other thing was I was talking to the staff at Books of Wonder, and I mentioned how when I was growing up, I was in the Royal Club of Oz, which is something that Books of Wonder used to run. It was, for folks who like were kids in the 90s, maybe you'll remember this. There used to be so many like mail-in clubs that you could be a part of. I don't know, you'd like call a number or something and send in your information, and then you would get sent maybe every month, maybe every quarter, like different little fun things. Like there would be like science kits that you would get. I think for a while we were in like a Magic School Bus one, and we got, it was like little cardboard school boxes with geology projects or stuff like that. So I was in the Royal Club of Oz, which was mostly just like a newsletter that you got, but you also got a certificate and a little membership card, both of which were signed by the Wizard of Oz in emerald ink. And it was very exciting. So when I was like 10 to 12-ish, I was in the Royal Club of Oz, and I brought this up when I went to Books of Wonder because I was just sort of, I don't know, I wanted to like talk to someone about it and be like, this existed, right? This was real. Does it still run? And so I talked to them, and they were saying that it no longer runs, And in fact, most people who work there don't even know about it. But due to like a short staffing issue for half of that day, their head archivist or something happened to be working the till and the floor, and he was the one who checked me out that I was like speaking with. And so he actually knew all of this history and all this information, and he was like, you know, I think I still have some extras of those membership cards at my desk downstairs. Do you want one? And so we went downstairs and he got me a new membership card, and I didn't tell him this, but in my head I was like, I'm gonna write my new name on here, and now I'm gonna have like a new card that actually has my name on it, because I still have mine from a kid, but it's got my birth name on it. And so it's just this like I haven't told the story very well here, but it was a very magical moment to like go to this bookstore and confront my social anxiety, to actually talk to the staff about why the Wizard of Oz mattered to me. And then it like led to this magical moment of, they were like, we know what you're talking about, we know this podcast, she works here, and here, have a brand new membership card for free. We're just gonna like give you this old merch. So it was very cool. It was a very cool experience, and I was like, I forgot why I was already filming some things for a video, like just some B-roll of the store. But I've been meaning for a couple of years to like put that together and just sort of tell that story in the book club. We do have an ad that's gonna come up in about a little under a minute. I'm gonna use that time probably to get my stuff together. I'm a little disorganized over here right now. I got too excited talking about Wizard of Oz right away after not being organized before starting the stream. Let me just let's see what's going on here. Some nostalgia for Borders. Yeah, I remember when the Borders near me closed. I mean, when Borders in general was closing, and I went and I bought so many books for very little money. Monthly Scholastic catalogs at school. Yes, we totally had those. Okay, we got an ad coming up in just a few minutes. I have a friend who recently, I mean, it was probably like 6 years ago now, but worked for the Scholastic Book Fair. But specifically those catalogs, like it was like the really thin, almost newspaper feeling material, and you'd circle what you wanted and then hope that you could get it later. I had a friend like pre-pandemic who was working specifically on that, and I was like, that's cool that it still exists. I drove by an elementary school over the weekend that had a big banner up that the Scholastic Book Fair is coming next week or whatever, and so I was like, yes, it still happens. That's great. Okay, ads are running. I'll put a thing in here, or ads starting soon, it says. But I'll put those there. So we got the spool shelf. So let me clean up some of my floss, update the counter. We've got also my overlay. It seems like everything is just slightly off. I wonder, did this move? What moved? I'm gonna try to adjust a few things here. That's like, I think some things just got nudged a little bit somehow. Not entirely sure how that happened. Nope. I want this to go down a little bit, or I'll just make it a little bit bigger. That also works. As an adult, I've been chasing the high of a Scholastic Book Fair ever since. Yeah, that's pretty real. I want this. Oops, is in the wrong place. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Okay. And I didn't make this Emerald City pattern, but I don't remember who did, so we are gonna look that up. Let's see. I'll go to my patterns folder. Cross stitch patterns. Emerald City. That's not it. Sort by. Jody Rice of Satsuma Street. Okay. Which was from the World of Cross Stitch magazine, I believe. Either that or Everyday Cross Stitch. I think it was from World of Cross Stitch magazine. All right, we've got the pattern. We got a picture of the pattern. I'm not done with the warm-up spool yet, but I'm going to wait till we're back from ads before I work on that. So just getting everything else set up to do the Emerald City pattern once we get there. What's over here? No, this just needs to go in here. If I can reach... I can't reach the back of my computer right now. I'll repeat this when the ads are over, but for folks who are subscribed and are here right now, what have you all been reading recently as we're talking about book fairs? Curious what folks have been working on or recently finished reading, or maybe hoping to start soon. Drop it in the chat if you want. Maybe we'll do that in a minute. I'll get this floss ready. Oh, and I also said I needed to change the counter. Right. So many little things to do. So for today, 11. There we go. Cool. Oh, I think the ads are over. Hi. Hi, everyone. I missed the end of the ads. So maybe this question happened when the ads were still going. But I was just seeing what folks are reading recently. If you want to share in the chat what you've been reading. Just always curious. 1, 2. So this might be... Oop, pardon me. I am continuing... Oh, Sarah, you did mention the Library of Amerlin last time, and you've now finished it. Okay, it was getting great reviews from you before you finished. So good to know that it kept up and was fabulous, as you say. I think we definitely had some interest in that one from folks. The Decagon House Murders. Not heard of that one. But I've occasionally seen Decagon houses, like, on Zillow. They always intrigue me. I don't think I would go out of my way to live in a Decagon house. But I wouldn't be upset about it. The Cat Who Saved Books. Rogan, what is that about? I mean, the title seems self-explanatory, and yet at the same time, I can't quite imagine what it's about. Oh, Limkle, you finally got around to An Astronaut's Guide to Life this week. I mean, this is the week for it. I was actually just watching NASA's Twitch stream as I was, like, getting ready, belatedly. So cool. The astronauts are... I think they're on the other side of the moon right now. One thing that I can share from the NASA Twitch stream that I really liked is both the astronauts and it's not quite ground control, but like whoever is sort of running the Twitch that they were chatting with. I heard them, they both kept saying full moon joy. And I was like, full moon joy? What do they mean by that? And as the flyby continued and then the moon, the view from the Orion spacecraft was now just sort of looked like a half moon. And the astronaut was like, I forgot which astronaut it was, said, "Yep, we're only seeing half of the moon now, but still full moon joy." And the person, like, hosting the Twitch had to say, like, this has become one of our phrases here on the Artemis 2 mission is full moon joy. But while I was listening, she never explained it. So, I mean, I think it's just excitement about the moon and joy at seeing the moon. So it's not a full moon, but it's like a full amount of joy for the moon. And I'm into it. I'm not sure that I'm understanding it correctly, but the way that I'm understanding it, I am very into it. And I just like the idea that, like, everyone who's part of this mission is just, like, so excited about the moon. And they're like, I got full moon joy. Full moon joy all the time as I'm working on this mission. And I like that. Maybe NASA will raid my stream tonight. I was thinking that if they are still streaming when I end, I might raid NASA. I saw a few other people raiding NASA. It's like slightly different vibes than my stream, but like not super much because it's pretty chill. Like there will be slightly extended periods of time in which they're not talking to each other, and you're mostly getting a beautiful, very, very slow moving view of the spacecraft and the moon. So slow moving that myself and others in the chat were uncertain if it was just a photo at first, and then it was explained to us, no, it's just, you know, the moon's big and they're close to it, so like it looks like it's not moving. But if you sort of did a time lapse, you would realize it is. There are children I have never seen before biking outside of my house right now. It's always so funny on like nice sunny days. This feels true anywhere. When you just like start seeing people you have never seen before in your neighborhood who apparently have just been like hibernating all winter. Or I also have the thing where I'll be like walking or driving around and I feel like there's a new building I've never noticed before. And like it's been there for years, but something about the way that the world looks different in a different season, I feel like I don't recognize it. Okay, going back for an update on The Cat Who Saved the Books. Wait, I gotta look back up what the actual title was. The Cat Who Saved Books. Rogan says it's translated from Japanese about a boy whose grandfather runs a bookstore and passed. The boy's dealing with that grief. Then a talking cat shows up and they go on adventures to rescue books. Wow. That sounds very nice. I mean, also grief is hard, but sometimes healing to read about. But that just sounds like a really nice story. Decagon House Murders was also originally written in Japanese. Nice. And going back up to Ace talking about a library with a book fair, too socially insecure to ask how to get to it. Aw, it was on a different floor. Wasn't very straightforward. Oh, it was meant for kids, but you regret not asking. I encounter so many things that I'm like, whoa, this sounds great, and then I look a little more closely, and it's like clearly meant for children. I'm like, okay. I will not go as a like individual man without children accompanying me. But they do be having some cool events for the kids sometimes. The Cat Who Saved Books is more about the loss of literacy and love of books than the adventure itself. Ooh. Loss of literacy. Like, kind of culturally, loss of literacy? I'm finally reading 1984 right now, so I'm definitely thinking about the loss of literacy in that context, but also, I guess, broader context of our real post-1984 world. Post-1984, just chronologically. We are not quite that far gone yet here in the U.S. The clock may be ticking. Yes, loss of cultural literacy. Oh man, well that's that is a meditation, like a thinking. I was gonna say not meditation like Om, but a meditation on that topic I would be interested in reading. I also clearly forgot that I already had some red going on this pattern. Oh well, now I've got this one too. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that one off. We'll put it over here. Okay, so that is our follower shelf for the day. Oh, we got the waffles upside down again. I keep doing that. Thank you to everyone who has followed ever, and especially in the last week. And folks who have subscribed and resubscribed and gift subscribed and prime subscribed and whatever you've done. I appreciate you all being here and showing up. And now we can go to the Emerald City. Oh, I forgot there's a graphic novel of 1984. I should check that out. But yes, novel writing machines. I mean, horrible, and George Orwell is just great. Just what a prescient kind of thinker and writer he was. One short stream in the Emerald City. Yeah, exactly, Ace. I'm gonna take this off the stand. There's my keyboard. I'm gonna put this somewhere safe. And now we need to put the Emerald City on a hoop. I did see both Wicked movies. I'm trying to think. Oh, I keep dropping this. The first one I might have seen twice. I've definitely only seen part 2 once. Not opposed, just bad at seeing movies. Wicked Part 2 is potentially the only movie I saw in theaters in 2025. I'm not entirely positive about that, but it's entirely likely. I want to start seeing more movies in theaters, though, because now I don't live in New York and it is cheaper. And there are some really cool, like, local small movie theaters around here that just do a lot of cool things, and I would like to support them and all that good stuff. Just kind of making up how I'm attempting to get this cloth out of the way. Okay, loosen up a little bit more. How do I usually do this? I never do it the same way anytime. That's how I usually do it. The eternal struggle. About movies or about the cloth being in the way? Cloth, always, yeah. Yep. Oh, Ace, I'm well familiar with Tuesdays. Tuesdays in the cinema world. Yeah, so there's a cinema near me that I had sort of been to before, but I recently went to. I think I've even talked about it on stream before because I've been so excited about it. It's a little bit far currently to get to, but they do so many cool things, and they do $5 Tuesdays, and I was like, I have no excuse not to see movies now, except that I just started a thing where I have Tuesday evening meetings for the next, like, I don't know, month and a half or so, and that's cramping my style. How am I gonna go see all these movies? Why is this not working? I gotta get my stand. Why? Okay, that's part of it. I'm twisting one thing the wrong way. Overtime prices tend to go up, but even so, the local theater to where I am now is half the price of where I grew up 20 years ago. And it's what? Wow. Matinees are also good. Yeah, I think the matinees at this place are not quite as cheap as Tuesdays, but it's still good. Okay, here we go. That's better. It just wasn't enough. And now, am I tightening or am I loosening? I just feel like the pegs on this stand are not the correct, like, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And they also go opposite to each other. So it's very confusing trying to tighten this. Oh, Tuesday matinees. Well, I have to work during the day. Mostly. I have a little bit of control in my schedule, but I, especially on Tuesdays for the most part, kind of have to stick to a set schedule. So maybe if I have a Tuesday off sometime, that would be fun. I don't know why I would have a Tuesday off. But theoretically, that would be a fun thing to go do. Showcase Cinema I have not heard of, but I will look it up and keep that in mind. Thanks for the hot tip. Okay. So what are we doing for Emerald City? I brought out a handful of colors to potentially use. I have a cowgirl plate that I've been keeping all of my cross-stitch paraphernalia on lately, as well as a whole thing of needle minders and a ball of needles, essentially. So I think we were doing some of the Yellow Brick Road last time. And let's pull this up on the iPad and look. Okay, Showcase Cinema is a New England chain. Great. I gotta keep learning my new culture. So, oh, the iPad is, it's not showing up for you yet. Let's get it on here so you can see the pattern I'm working with. There we go. So the red curve on the right is the yellow brick road. And last time I did this on stream, we were working on that. Yeah, last time I worked on Emerald City, Sarah. I know it wasn't the last stream. But yeah, I think we should do some more of that. It's just it's a few different colors, which is kind of weird. We'll start with that, and then at some point on the stream, I think I want to just like zone out a little bit more and work on these stripes. That's sort of like the Munchkin farmland, because that'll be a lot less concentration that'll have to happen. So let's try to do, to the extent that it will let me. And so this is 445. I bet it's this one. Yes, 445. Okay, we're gonna add some like texture to the yellow brick road here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is brand new, so we're gonna have to cut it. Man, now I've got one short day in the Emerald City stuck in my head. That was inevitable. I didn't even make the joke this time, but that was gonna happen. Here they are. So I checked in on what folks were reading recently, but what is oh, well, and also I did ask what folks are doing, and then maybe I didn't read it all. Joe was working on report cards. What are other folks working on or crafting on today? But also, wait, Joe, I just scrolled back up to your comment. Why do you have to write 12,000 words for report cards? That feels like so much for report cards. Regal and Showcase both do $5 Tuesdays. Wow. Okay, so many options. Ooh, Sarah, fun task. Organizing and putting books into a new bookcase. I have some book organizing that I've put off for a long time that I need to be doing. Allison's making a huge bean salad to snack on all week. What kind of beans? Tell me the beans. What beans are you putting in it? Every student gets 150 words. Oh, wow. Okay. That is... Yeah, that's not a ton per student, but yeah, when you add it up, that is a lot of work for you. Wow. Good use of the waffle emote. Oh, but you finished! Congratulations! Congratulations, and enjoy your stitching. I gotta find the correct needle over here. Okay, got that. Let's get a needle minder on the pattern. Little Frog and Toad with the Wizard of Oz. Frog and Toad going to Emerald City. I'm trying to think of how that book would go. It's like, Frog woke up and asked Toad, "Do you want to go to the Emerald City today?" And Toad said, "I would rather sleep in today." So Frog said, "Okay," and they went back to sleep. The end. That would be Frog and Toad in the Emerald City. Yeah, thanks for the clip, Joe. Or at least the thought of a clip. Laura, do I know the needle sizes by sight? So, I only have 2 sizes of needles, except for this really long sewing needle that I pulled out for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles jacket. And the 2 sizes that I have, I don't know if this will show up on camera, but I got... Should I do, like, the influencer thing? There we go. Oh, yeah, you can't really tell. I specifically bought the second one in gold instead of silver so that I could tell them apart. What I have realized in recent weeks is that the gold was not real gold, and I think it has, like, rubbed off on my fingers, and so now they look pretty similar. But you can see, maybe. So the one on the right, or the top, has a bigger opening. And so I can still compare that and see that. That's about it, though. I guess it's a little bit longer. But I do also just try to keep them in their original packaging. Obviously, my spiky ball of needles and needle minders means I have not been doing that super well recently. But in theory, that's the main way that I tell. That and tried to have it color-coded. That didn't work. Story time with craft time. Yeah, I gotta come up with more Frog and Toad. Oh, and let's add... So I did 9 more stitches for the warm-up. We had 20 stitches for the warm-up, and now we have done 2 for Wizard of Oz. We'll do that. Oh, and wasn't that funny? 1901 was the number of stitches that I had completed when we started, and nope, 1901 is not the year that Wizard of Oz came out. Was it? It was either 1900 or 1901 that the first book was published, and I think 1903 was maybe Land of Oz, the second book. What sizes are they? Great question. I don't know, and I don't have the packaging in this room. I might take a break with the next ads, and maybe I'll remember to go get them and look. I want to say 22 and 26. Land was 1904. 1900 and 1904. Okay, so I was off for both, and my stitch counts are not relevant at all. Cool. Thanks for the fact check and destroying my dreams. Kidding. Okay, bean update. Very important bean update from Allison. Chickpeas and Great Northern beans with bell peppers, tomatoes, and corn. My needle just came off the thread. Why? Why? Oh my gosh. I watched The Room for the first time. You know, the awful Tommy Wiseau movie that is frequently called the worst movie of all time. And, like, as we started watching it, we decided, wow, we should have made a drinking game of this. So we looked up drinking games for The Room, and one was anytime Tommy Wiseau's character Johnny says, "Why?" We didn't really end up doing a drinking game. We just we wanted to see what other people would say. But it was very funny. But anyway, back to the beans. Throwing together some back of fridge random pantry finds. That's the best way to put together some snacks or meals for the week. And in fact, I was about to say, I've been doing so much of, like, consuming things just to sort of, like, use them up before they go bad. And that is the beverage of the night. Some red wine. Getting fancy on the stream tonight. And really playing it loose and risky with all of my cross-stitch projects and this bright red wine. But I had leftover red wine from Easter and Passover. And I didn't want it to go bad, so I was like, all right, we're having red wine on the live stream tonight. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. God, yeah, anyone who hasn't seen The Room, I mean, like, I don't recommend it, but I also recommend it. I didn't really know what to expect. I know that it's so bad that people do, like, Rocky Horror Picture style screenings of it, where people know, like, every word. And, nope, these stitches were not supposed to go here. But yeah, people know every word, and they'll, like, throw things at the screen. It's very Rocky Horror Picture Show. But I didn't know, like, what would make it so bad. And it's just bad. Your mom has the same wine glasses as me? I love that. Does that make me a wine mom? I'd be okay with that as my gender for the day. Gender of the day. Oh my god, gender of the day. God. Yes. What's your god, everyone? It's like workout of the day, WOD, but even more sacrilegious. If someone says, what's your god? Don't assume they're asking about your faith. Assume they're asking your gender of the day. And then your answer is gonna sound even more weird. Oh, but anyway, the way that the room is bad is just really, really awful writing and acting. And the whole thing was like written and produced and directed and starred in by Tommy Wiseau. And like the character that he plays is just this like perfect guy. Nothing is wrong with him, but then he gets cheated on by a woman that they call many misogynistic names. And it's, I don't know, it's just like it's a really stupid plot. It seems to have been edited in the incorrect order at times, and everyone's a terrible actor. Give us this day our daily gender. Yes. Yes, I love that. I did not. Oh yeah, Tommy Wiseau's character saying "oh hi" is also part of the drinking game. Give us this our daily gender. Folks should drop in the chat what their god is. What is your gender of the day? Apparently mine is Wine Mom. I'm going with Wine Mom as my gender of the day. There we go. Had to get that knot out. Now, let's actually stitch in the correct place. That might be fun. Try that for a change. Three stitches in to the main pattern of the day. Already messing it up. Pattern of the day, pod. Podcast is when you talk about your pattern of the day, and then you cast the pattern across the room by throwing it. Or you cast a spell of your pattern, maybe. Allison's gender of the day is beans. Oh, such a good gender. I briefly had a group chat where I called together all of the performance artists I knew who had done a lot of like food-based or bathroom-based plays and like written performance works. And I needed their advice on a bean-based play that I was writing. And I called them all my Bean Queens. So it was my Bean Queens group chat. God, Garfield on a Monday. Wow. Garfield on a Monday, I feel like kind of means you've had a rough Monday. So I'm sorry to hear that, Mikey, if that is the case. I hope you get some lasagna tonight to make it better. Or sometime this week, get some lasagna. Fuel your inner Garfield. Okay, Joe's god is Cherry Blossom Tree Post Full Bloom. Still pretty, but only the old OG fans have stuck around. Wow, that was deep. I feel like that... I was about to say, I think I feel like that. That's how I feel about my presence on the internet. It's like I'm still doing things, but only the OG fans are here. Everyone else has left. And that's fair enough. Pasta for dinner. Close enough to lasagna, yeah. What did I have for dinner? Oh, I had matzo pizza for dinner. So... Similar flavors with the cheese and the pasta sauce. Thanks, Joe. I'm happy you're here too. Cherry Blossom Tree Post Full Bloom. Excuse me. Got the wine burps. Are wine burps a thing? I feel like wine is more associated with hiccuping, but I will tell you, I can burp from anything. One time, ahead of like a a medical test. I was getting tested for like if I had celiac or I don't know. I got tested for a whole bunch of stuff to try to figure out what was wrong with my digestive system when I was 19. Inconclusive. But the night before some test, I had to fast for like 12 hours. So it's like I had woken up, wasn't allowed to even like have water or chapstick or gum, you know, nothing. So literally nothing in my body for 12 hours. And I was still burping. Somehow still burping on the way to the doctors. Nothing in my body for 12 hours. Still burping. I'm a very burpy human. My mom also likes to tell the story from when I was like a 1-year-old, maybe even a little bit younger, but like certainly a baby. And we were at the grocery store and I just let out a huge loud burp. And everyone like turned to my mom to be like, oh my God, like how rude of this lady to be burping so loudly and unashamedly in this grocery store. And she was just like, it was the baby. And then everyone's like, oh my God, she's blaming her baby. It's one of my proudest moments. I peaked early. I was eating chapstick. I was not eating chapstick. The doctors were just very clear that like you couldn't even put chapstick on when you were fasting. I guess in case some of it got in your mouth after being applied to your lips. I don't really know the rationale, but I always remember that. Yeah, pretty intense fasting. Don't remember exactly what I was getting tested. Maybe that was for an ultrasound? But, like, people get ultrasounds all the time and don't fast that much. It must have been something else. Maybe it was, like, blood work of some sort. I got some blood work done shortly before last week's stream, actually. If I was tired, that's one reason why. But I got the results recently, and I'm doing very well. Like, it's weird. I feel like, you know, I'm of the age where usually everything's just a little bit worse every time, but I've like turned some things around, and so I'm kind of riding that high right now. Of apparently, I'm getting a little healthier. I guess the not New York City life is agreeing with me. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, kind of a weird thing to share on stream and to not, like, you know, want to get into specifics of my personal health on, but yeah, that was kind of cool news. I guess it's a little bit like when you go to the dentist and if you don't have any cavities, it's something like that, where it's like, maybe you've really been working towards it, or maybe you haven't really changed anything, but it's just kind of like a little nice, relieving bit of news after having to go to the dentist or the doctor, which is not always the most fun thing to do. For anyone who has not been on previous streams when I've been working on this Emerald City piece, or who can't quite tell from the camera because it's a little bit far away, I am stitching on even weave. So Aida cloth is one of the more common cloths that folks stitch on. It's capital, like all caps, A-I-D-A, Aida. But this is called even weave, and it is kind of like softer. This one I have in particular is very like, okay, you can't see that on that part of the stream, but it's like very kind of flimsy and soft and very nice feeling. And one of the most common counts of even weave is 28, as compared to one of the most common ones for Aida, which is 18. So even weave is like twice as small in its typical, or I guess you might say half the size, in its like sort of most standard size compared to Aida's most standard size. So I am actually stitching over 2 as it is called. So if you think about when you're cross stitching, like let's say you've got a cross, this kind of cross, not an X, but this kind of cross, and you're gonna make the X by going like across each part of it. For stitching over 2, it's more like a tic-tac-toe board. Here, let's do it this way. I will draw it. Okay, so on stitching over 1, it would be like, here's the fibers, and you're gonna stitch like that, right? So you're stitching over 1. These are like empty holes. But then with even weave, you're gonna be stitching like that. And the stitches themselves, if you're just straight up going from 14 count to 28 count, the size of the stitches is roughly the same. But it looks kind of neater because the fabric has like smaller holes behind it. That's my like layman's way of kind of explaining it. That's been my experience with it. This particular pattern I'm stitching on even weave, mostly because it's one of the earlier ones I did, and I was curious about even weave, and I just wanted to like try it out as a learning experience. I also chose to do it because I have always thought that when I finish this pattern, I want to like sew it onto a circular pillow, or like sew a pillow and include this on it. And so I wanted something that felt softer than your typical Aida cloth. And so I'm doing it on even weave. We have an ad coming up in about 30 seconds. So just a heads up. I think also that I will take a little break at the start of the ad. So I'm going to put the BRB screen up for subscribers, and likely I will be back before the ads are over. But yeah, just want to take a little bit of a break to get up and get some things, or like I said, I was a little bit behind on getting ready for the stream today. So, oh no, now it says ad starting soon. All right, we'll wait for that to start, and then I'll put up the BRB screen. So, for folks who are, well, I guess either you're subscribed or not, good chance for you to also take a little break. Get up, go to the restroom, get a snack, do some stretching, just take your eyes off the screen, whatever you need to do. Just a little chance for a little reprieve. I think this is going to be all of this color that I can do in this general area, so it's actually a good timing. We're just about finishing this up. And then we're going to get to the ads for just a little break for all of us. About a little over an hour into the stream. Wow, time flew by. I did not realize that it has already been over an hour. Okay. So we got ads going. But for all you subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. I'm going to put the BRB screen up right for a little bit. We'll all take a tiny bit of a break, but I will probably be back and chatting with you again before the ads are over. So see you soon. Thanks, Joe. I pressed the wrong mute button to unmute myself. But I was just saying thanks to those of you who stuck around. Sorry that I lied and that the ads ended before I came back. But yeah, needed a little bit of a chance, mostly to put face lotion on. My face was so dry. I was working out and then showering shortly before the stream, and didn't put any face lotion on because I was like, I don't feel like I need that. And then I was just like sitting here cross-stitching like, oh my god, my face hurts. It's so dry. So all good there now, and I want to finish up this little batch of 6 stitches here, and then we'll be done with this color and can move on to a darker yellow to really continue filling out the yellow brick road. Is it darker? It looks darker in the floss that I have out, but it does not look darker in the pattern, but that's probably, actually it does look darker in the pattern. Never mind. I'm talking utter nonsense. Okay, 6th little stitch here. And we are done with the detailing on this one, on this color for the Yellow Brick Road. Shading, the gradient. Let's see, where can I put this stitch? Oh, that looks okay. That feels like quite a bit of floss. I'm gonna put this back on the bobbin, because that's a good amount I might be able to reuse at some point. Ooh. I did also bring back some props. I have, first of all, needle sizes. Limical, if you're still here, you're asking about needle sizes. So my go-to standard needle is 24. So I think that's what is often recommended for like 14 and 16-ish count Aida. But I kind of just use it for almost everything. So I'm using it on this 28 count even weave. I use it on 18 count Aida and waistcloth. Yeah, 24. And then the one that I got for like the plastic canvas that I've been doing, because it's like a thicker canvas and bigger holes, it's an equivalent to 10 count. For that, I got 22. And I want to say what was recommended was an even lower number, maybe? And I just couldn't find it in the store, so I went with 22, and it's been working fine. I've not gotten super into different needle sizes. If I'm trying a new type of fabric or material that I haven't used in the past, I will look it up to see what experts on the internet recommend, but I usually just keep to those. I also brought my VHS copy of Return to Oz. Oh, now it's on that camera. Look, you can look at it from both directions. Here, I'll put it here. But yeah, look, even Dorothy looks scared. It's a scary... it's a scary film. That's TikTok. His name is TikTok. Predated the app by over 100 years. That's Dorothy. That is her hen Belinda. This is the Scarecrow, who's now king. Do they call him king? I forgot what he's called, but he like is in charge of at least Emerald City, if not all of Oz. And then the Tin Woodman, who is now Emperor of the Winkies. That's Jack Pumpkinhead. He's one of my all-time favorite characters. No, I did not name myself after him, but it's a great coincidence. That's the Cowardly Lion. Don't really remember when he comes back into things. And this is the Gump, which is just a taxidermy deer head attached to like an empty carriage with some palm leaves as wings that has been turned into a sentient beast. It's weird. Here, let's read. A magical film for the child and everyone. Yeah, the traumatized child and everyone. Dorothy is back at home in Kansas after her first escapade in the Land of Oz and unable to convince anyone that her adventures truly happened. Concerned, Auntie M takes Dorothy to the doctor, who plans to treat her with shock therapy. Yeah, this gets dark. And she literally like escapes a mental institution in the middle of a storm at night. While trying to escape the therapy, Dorothy and her now talking pet chicken, Bellina. Okay, so I got that wrong on 2 counts. She's a chicken and her name is Bellina, not... Is it Belinda? Bellina, okay. Are propelled by a lightning storm back to Oz, but things are not as she left them. The Emerald City is under the rule of the evil Princess Mombi and the fiendish Gnome King. Okay, yeah, Princess Mombi combines several characters in a weird way. The Yellow Brick Road is broken. The city is a dirty slum, and her friends, the Cowardly Lion and Tin Man, have been turned to stone. It is up to Dorothy and her new friends TikTok, a helpful robot, Jack, who has a pumpkin head, and Gump to save Oz. Join Dorothy on her exciting new adventures in her Return to Oz. Was this done by Henson at all? No, I don't think so. But yeah, it's a weird movie. I do also like the description of Jack Pumpkinhead just as Jack who has a pumpkin head, because I feel like that could describe me. I am Jack, who has a pumpkin head. My head is full of pumpkins. It may as well be a pumpkin. Which I know is like how we used to, that was like, you would call someone stupid by saying they were a pumpkin head. So like Jack Pumpkinhead is a big joke, and he is a kind of simple character. Yeah, glad you enjoyed that description. So that's Return to Oz. I'm pretty sure it's on Disney Plus in the US at least. So if you're interested in watching it, that is how you can if you don't have a old home video copy like me. I also brought, this is a Books of Wonder edition of The Wizard of Oz. It says right there, once I can get it to focus, Books of Wonder. So these are what the Books of Wonder copies look like. And I thought this one, maybe it's on an inner page. Well, you get that cool thing for all the Dorothy and Ozma shippers out there. That's some cool inside pages. Somewhere. Okay, so like some of these pages, it's a little hard to see on camera, but this is like glittery paint. So you get, it's almost like gilded, but it's with green glitter on some of the designs, some of the illustrations rather. So it's really cool. Ooh, there's a good one. The sky's all green in this one. They matched the Fuddles is chapter 12. Yeah, Oz books are very strange. One fun thing, this is not a Books of Wonder exclusive, but it may be that there's some of the only newer editions that include this, but L. Frank Baum has a little letter to the children reading at the start of every book. I thought this was the one where he like tried to end it. He tried to end the Oz series several times, and he wrote a lot of other books, but kids were always like, no, more Oz, and so he had to keep coming up with ways to like unend the series, which was always funny. Okay, Sarah, that reminds me of some patterns I saw at the cross store this weekend that made me think of you. Oh, nice. Autumn Lane's A Spooky Stroll, A Spooky Flight, and A Spooky Bite. Wait, I love that. That's a great, like, is it kind of like a trip dish? Or you could make it one if you wanted? I'm gonna look those up. Let's look up, oh, I somehow just opened Apple Music. I don't want to do that. It's gonna make everything crash. Okay. Let's look up Autumn Lane cross stitch. A Spooky Stroll. Green glitter paint is giving me arsenic vibes. If it weren't that these books were printed in the 90s, I would maybe be concerned about what is the, when, like, the green glass, is it just lead that you have to test for? Or is there something else that's, like, toxic about them? Like, if these were actually from the early 1900s, I might be concerned about that. Where... We're gonna switch. Green is arsenic. Okay. I'm trying to find where I have my, capture. Here we go. A Spooky Stroll. Oh yeah, I feel like, have I seen this before? But I really like this. I like that a pumpkin is carrying, like a cauldron that a ghost is coming out of. There's a lot going on there that I'm a fan of. Let's just look at all of their autumn and Halloween ones. Witch's Hollow. Ooh, I like that. I really like kind of like a haunted house on a mountain design. I've been trying to find one that I want to do at some point. Maybe that'll be it, because I like that one. Okay, but you said Spooky Flight and Spooky Bite. We gotta look for those. Well, here's Spooky Flight. Ooh, Pumpkin-Headed Witch. You don't see that too often. That's a little bit more of a rare category of Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead Witch with a crow. I like that. And then a Spooky Bite. Well, this is a cool frame. I gotta get a frame like this. This is like Stranger Things vibes almost. Like season 4, I think it was. I know this is like a vampire rising up, but the way the arms are It's reminding me of Stranger Things in a scary kind of way. We're looking a little bigger. I like that the pumpkin is pale, because it's a vampire pumpkin, and so it's not orange. Okay, on the matter of green glass, uranium glass is also a thing. That may well be what I think I was thinking of uranium. Thank you for that pattern recommendation, though. Always like checking out new little patterns, as I'm sure many of you can relate. I save far more than I can ever do. I'll bookmark so many and then rarely get around to them. But let's move on now to the other color. We're gonna start a new yellow. Oh, actually, let's do the stars first. And the stars are going to be, I'm gonna find them in the key, 3820. High number. There we go. 3820. This is next on the docket for the Yellow Brick Road. This bobbin's a little bit of a mess. Wonder what I last used it for. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nice. This is, for some reason, I cut it pretty short the last time I used it, but I think that will be to my advantage on this pattern. So I can thank my past self for that. And where? Okay, needle is on the back. Great. Okay. Thinking back to things folks said they were working on. Allison's making beans. Joe's cross-stitching. What are you cross-stitching, Joe? Is anyone else stitching or knitting tonight? Okay. I have 3 different shades of yellow going on the Yellow Brick Road. I think that is one element of designing cross-stitch I have not gotten good at yet. I've just done very basic designs when I've designed things, and sort of the like shading by having different colors is something I am not good at yet. Joe's finishing up my Kurok. Only one color and the catchphrase to go. I don't recall that, and I don't feel like I'm familiar with that term. Can you tell me more? Mikey is finishing a crochet granny scare. Granny is scared. Crochet granny square. Very nice. Oh, I watched a documentary on yarn last night. And it ended up being, it mostly featured crocheters. They talked about knitting a little bit, but it was largely a crochet documentary. It's like a European film. So it has English captions, or English subtitles rather, but some of it is in English, and then some of it's in various other languages, because they kind of profile a handful of fiber artists who live in various nations, mostly in Europe. I think they get to Latin America a little bit. And like one of them is kind of like a yarn bomber / larger kind of fiber graffiti artist, which is really cool. And then there's like one person who creates these like huge playgrounds basically out of a crochet technique using nylon, not yarn. There's lots of good footage of sheeps in it. And also, it is narrated by Barbara Kingsolver, who most famously wrote the book Animal, Vegetable, Mineral, but has also written a lot of other books. And she like narrates it using a kind of like piece of prose that she wrote about yarn and knitting. It was a great little documentary. It was nice, kind of like slow vibes. good one to watch while crafting. It was very fun. And it is literally just called Yarn. Seems to have come out fairly recently. Honestly, it was at the library. It was on display at the public library, so I checked it out. I really don't know much more else about it. To help you find it, if any of you watching are interested based on my poor description. But I do highly recommend it. It was just a nice watch. So Korok is a leafy forest creature from the Legend of Zelda games. Who hide around the world and reward you for finding them in a very fey manner. I like that. Korok. Okay. Korok. So it's probably Korok. I'm trying to put the emphasis on the first syllable as you spelled out. Korok. I like forest creatures though. And that's cool that you get a reward when you find them. First one I did. Korok. Okay. Cool. I have, as is not shocking to anyone who regularly comes to these streams, I have very rarely ever played Zelda. I think I have like opened it a little bit before, but then not known what I was doing. I like the vibes of Zelda. Like, it's one of those, like, if I played video games, I think I would quite enjoy it. Also, one of my favorite social media bios of all time was like a Twitter bio, was from the YouTube creator Ty Turner, and his bio used to be that he knows how Link feels when everyone thinks that he's Zelda. I was like, that's a very good trans guy social media bio. Yarn is streaming on Netflix. Thanks, Mikey. Streaming at least for some markets, some countries. But yeah, worth checking. If you're interested in Yarn, it's on Netflix for some people. I am not much of a gamer, no. Limical is stitching a super basic last-second idea that you had at 4 this morning. Surprise for Mr. Limical. Oh, okay, I should be quiet. Even though he's out of the room, I'll be quiet. 2,500 stitches has to be done by Wednesday, so we will see. I've done a handful of last-minute ones. Well, we can even look and see. Well, wait, let me mark my stitches first, so I don't get lost when I come back. I'm gonna look at my completed projects and see how big my last-minute ones were. Okay, so this was like a Mother's Day one that I decided to do at some point. And this was... Oh, that was only 700 stitches. But this was like I did this in a day, or maybe a day and a half. I was just like, I gotta do something for Mother's Day, and I found this pattern on Etsy. Okay, so I did that quickly. Where was the other one? Oh, maybe I won't be able to. This was one where I, like, screenshotted a magazine from the library. This was also only 800. Okay, so it seems like when I've had last-minute ideas, I have stuck to under 1,000 stitches to try to complete them in like a day or a day and a half. So Godspeed with the 2,500. That's a lot. That's a lot to do just in a couple of days. Also, I wanna see it if and when you finish, because I am curious about what it is. Okay, when I took my little break, I brought some snacks back to have with my fancy drink. Wait, are you saying you've done this 3 times already? You've worked on this project, like you've done 3, you're on your 3rd version of this project? Pardon me while I have a little matzo toffee. Oh, making the pattern in Excel. Okay, great. You make the pattern in Excel? I don't understand how people make patterns in Excel. Like, in theory, I understand it, but when I have tried, I haven't been able to figure it out. Joe, that's a great question, and I'm just realizing that the counter right there is incorrect. It's not 1,000 stitches. It is 6,900 stitches. I told you about the Excel thing. Well, some other folks in the chat have mentioned designing in Excel, and I've seen other people talk about it. I just have not figured it out myself. So I use Floss Cross, personally. Okay, I'm gonna finish this and get back to stitching. Joe used Google Sheets for designing. Gotcha, okay. Knitting patterns are usually measured in how many yards of yarn. Yeah, cross-stitching, I mean, I feel like people will talk about stitches, especially if they're using any kind of app. But what I've found is, like, when you're looking at cross-stitch designs, they will describe them as, like, this many stitches by this many stitches. But that's actually really referring to, like, the area of fabric that you will need. And so if you just multiply those two numbers, it's a number that is much larger than the pattern will actually be, unless it is a full coverage project. But, like, a lot that I look at are not full coverage. And so if it says it's 100 stitches by 100 stitches, that doesn't actually mean that it's 10,000 stitches, if I did that math right. It might actually be like 7,000 stitches, because there's going to be a lot of spaces that are not going to be filled in. And I don't feel like a lot of patterns actually do tell you the accurate number of stitches. So on the one hand, yes, I have definitely seen that cross-stitchers will frequently talk about, like, how many stitches they've done in a day or how many stitches they've left to do in a pattern. And at the same time, unless you are using tracking apps, that information is not always, like, immediately available. So I don't know. But, yeah, measuring in yards of yarn required definitely is not, like, we don't really talk about the floss required. Some people may more than others. If you're working on a really big project, you do need to know that. And so there are some patterns. Well, most patterns will tell you. I think this one maybe does. Or maybe not. Let's see. So some patterns will tell you how many stitches required per color. So this is just telling you the like 3 different companies and what the number would be for the color. But let's say that it just said, like, DMC 165 is the color code of DMC, and then instead of the next 2 columns, it might say, and you're gonna do like 500 stitches of 165. And then it might even tell you that equates to this many skeins of floss that you will need for this pattern. I've only seen that a few times. That's not, like, super standard. But it is fairly common for it to tell you, like, how many stitches per color. So I guess theoretically you could then add all of those up to find the total. But yeah, you would not usually talk about, like, this pattern is this many skeins of floss, because I think it just doesn't quite equate in the same way. Oh, okay, so Limical found a pattern the other day that did tell her how many skeins. They exist, see? I didn't make it up. Okay, so I gotta find, I think we're going down to here. And it was, so we got 2, and the 2, and then down to here. Okay. Wow, 8 o'clock is fast approaching. Ready yourselves. Oh, hey, Door. Didn't know you were here. Welcome in. Always have to guess the amount used on hexagon blanket. Needs 6 balls of each color. 4 of black if I want it double bed size. Ooh, double bed size sounds cozy. But that's for crochet. Just got here. Well, welcome in. Hope you're having a good evening. Sarah says, my personal experience is that if it's more than one skein is needed of a specific color, the pattern will say, otherwise it doesn't. That is kind of what I was guessing, but I hadn't really put thought into it before, so I think you are probably correct. Oh, and I still have that open. Let me just move this. Well, long past evening here. I mean, depends how you define it. But welcome in nonetheless, Doran. Welcome to anyone else who's joined since the start. I'm just working on a little Emerald City of Oz pattern tonight. It's something I've stitched on stream a little bit in the past. I've been working on more ambitious, more like creative projects for a while, and I just needed something a little bit more simple to work on for a little bit, so that is what we're doing tonight. And it is finally dark here, almost. It just always, like, somewhere between amuses me and blows my mind, but not quite either of those. Just observing, like, daylight savings changes. You know, for most of the time that I've been streaming, it was during, or it was not during daylight savings, rather. And it would be dark when I was, like, setting up to stream. And now I'll get more than halfway through the stream and the sun is still out. And it's beautiful. I love when the sun is out. I'm a big fan of daylight saving time. Okay, I do like how the yellow brick road is looking now that I've got this third darker shade of yellow in here. I think it's looking kind of cool. I think it looks a little bit more, you know, like it does where there are some parts where there's like bricks missing and they're not all necessarily like aligned in color. Or maybe just that the sun is hitting it in different ways and it's playing with the light on it. Alright, so there's one rogue, like, stitch of this color to the right, and it's like the little bit of pollen in this flower, but I don't know if I want to go that far over. And then there's a bunch more over here, but we're not really there yet. Maybe I will try to get this pollen in the correct place, and then we'll switch colors again. But see, this is the whole, like, stitching over two problem. It's a little bit harder to count where you need to go when you're jumping like this. So I need to go 3, 4, 5, and it'll be the 6th. So this is 3, 6, so that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. So I think it would be there. That adds up. Gotta really focus to make sure I don't mess this up for my future self. I think this is all making sense. We'll count again. So we got 1, 3, 4, 5, and then that's the 6th. Okay. We're gonna try to call it. A little dot of pollen. And we'll put a flower around it some other day. Finish off this piece. I'm gonna pick the next color to do. Which probably should be the last yellow that's gonna fill in a little bit here. Oh, wait. Let's go back to make sure I know I did that one. Okay. Don't want to do that. Go away. Sure, save my changes. Okay. Just trying to pan out. Okay. Yeah, there's just a few of them. So maybe we'll knock that out, and that'll get us the final texture on this stretch of the yellow brick road. And this one is going to be 726. So we need just a little bit of 726. This looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna cut the whole thing as long as I might need it some point in the future, because I don't know what else I might be using it for, so I don't want to cut 6 strands to be too short. Instead, I will cut them my standard length, and then just cut down the one piece that I want to use for these 7 stitches. We do have an ad starting in a little over a minute, as a heads up. I'll probably just use the ad break time to update my stitch count and that sort of thing, so don't feel like you're missing too much if you're not subscribed, although you are, of course, always welcome to subscribe. Or if you're watching and you are not following, and you're into the chill little cross-stitch vibes happening here, feel free to follow. Follows are anonymous, but if you want a little shout-out, you just join in the chat. I was gonna say after you follow, but you don't. It is not a followers-only chat. You can also join in the chat before you follow, but follows are anonymous unless you want them to be, in which case announce yourself in the chat. All right, starting in on this 726. Do I have thoughts on going darker versus lighter colors first, or not really? Not really. No, I have seen that some people have opinions on that. And maybe if I were doing a full coverage project, I would. Or if I knew that I was maybe going to be jumping around a lot confetti-wise, maybe I would start with the lighter ones? Not entirely sure about that. No, I start in the center, and then I go on vibes. I sort of work my way out from the center, but especially a piece like this, I will frequently just sort of be like, what am I in the mood for now? I've been doing this color for a while. I'm gonna jump around to a different one. That is also your method. Yeah. I feel like it's a solid method. Okay, we got ads happening. Oh my gosh, 5 minutes till 8 o'clock. So let's check in here. Today we've done 60 stitches. So just 58 more. So that is 80. And then this becomes... I also need to adjust this because it is not 1,000 stitches. This should be out of 6,926. Cool. Stitch counts are now accurate. Ugh. Okay. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, had to do the math on that one. I've had so many weeks of not keeping the stitch counter updated because I've been doing like Wingspan, and that's a mess because I designed it all self-drafted, as it is called. Now we're back to the stitch counter. Also back to this strawberry. I eat this strawberry now. Oh, that's a good strawberry. I have not planted strawberries yet this year. That's a strawberry that's so good you gotta slurp it in between bites. But hopefully I grow some good ones. I think in total I probably grew 10 tiny strawberries last year. We'll see if they do better this year. I gotta start my seed starting this week. I have not really even planned that out much, but I need to get to it. Is anyone else gardening this year? Doing any kind of garden projects this spring or summer? A bit too close to the stem. Did not bring a napkin in here. I'm gonna use the pants napkin. Nature's napkin. Hi, welcome back from the ads. I'm rubbing strawberry juice onto my khaki pants. That's what you missed. Sarah, great progress update on the bookcase. Got all my fiction books in series moved to the new bookcase and alphabetized by author. Got all the non-series fiction re-alphabetized in the old bookcases. That's great. Laura says I should use some canvas for a napkin. Maybe. I was looking at which projects I have. I really cursed myself with that. Oh, Icarused myself with that strawberry. Yeah, I did, Joe. I bit too close to the stem. I flew too close to the sun. Allison just moved to a new house. Have to decide if I want to plant a bunch of native plants ASAP or wait until fall and can see what grows. Yeah, that is a tough choice. What I have heard more of is just like, don't rip anything out. Like if you have places where you can grow things, like grow around any sort of existing dead stuff, and then yeah, see what grows, but don't rip anything out. That is the advice that I have heard in all of the like gardening themed memoirs that I have read. That's not from my own life. So which stitch is this? I think that this, well, I think there's a chance that this is one of the parts of the pattern that I like messed up at some point. So really, I'm just filling in the gaps at this point. Yeah, strawberry juice on cross-stitch fabric could be dyed fabric. I need more strawberry juice. I mean, actually, like, not using it as a napkin, as I just did now, but actually sort of collecting the juice of strawberries that I grow in my garden to dye a cool pattern on cross-stitch fabric and then stitch something on that. That sounds so cool. That sounds like a fun DIY project. For a future in which I grow enough strawberries that I'm looking for other uses for them. Presently, I have only ever grown enough strawberries to have, like, a little snack while I'm watering the other plants. Like, I don't even really get a harvest on my strawberries. Napkin is 100% superior dye option. Oh, it's 8 o'clock! Thank you, Joe! It is 8 o'clock. And Joe's gotta head out. That's alright. See you next week. I'm pretty sure... Let me double check. Yes. Yes, see you next week. The week after that, I think I will not be streaming. But next week I will be here. How do you think the project gets started? Strawberry napkin. Next week I will be here. The week after that I will not be. However, it's either that week or shortly after, sometime later this month, I am intending to do a longer stream. It'll be on a Wednesday afternoon into the early evening, Eastern US time. And I am planning to do that following the release of a big YouTube video. I think my plan right now is that I'm gonna do a like premiere on YouTube of the video, which is where like the video goes live, but it plays for everyone watching when it goes live, and there's a chat, and so everyone kind of watches the video together through the first time as it goes live. So it's a little bit like a live stream, but it's the video, and we all chat. And then I think I want to like port everyone over to a live stream, and we'll just have like a several hours long afternoon into early evening live stream following the release of that video. That has been the plan. That was originally supposed to happen in February, but I keep needing more time to complete this. But that's kind of the plan, and maybe that will be what I do for all new YouTube releases once I sort of get back into regular YouTube releases. Yeah, I'll talk more about that next week, because hopefully I will have more solidified plans or like more certainty that it's happening. But you can always follow me, particularly on Instagram at JackIsNotABird, for updates for bigger events and live streams like that. But Joe, Mikey, have a fun night. Enjoy your pasta. I hope that it makes your Garfield Monday a bit better. And good luck on your Granny Square and Korok designs. Raid my Twitch from my YouTube. Can I do that, Limical? I don't know if I can. I don't know about that, but I have been trying to set up multi-streaming. This whole scheme is why I've been trying to get the multi-streaming to work again, because like all of you who prefer Twitch and know where to find me on Twitch can come to the Twitch. But folks who are more YouTube people or have never watched me or haven't watched me live stream in years or whatever, it might be easier to be like, hey, just stay on my channel or refresh the page and now it'll turn into a live stream. So I want to have the multi-streaming to work. But the last time that I had the extension to make it work, it crashed OBS at the start of the stream and I had to delete it. So I got to do some more tests, because I would love to be able to multi-stream at least for those occasions, if not every time. And I have been uploading a backlog of VODs to my second YouTube channel. So, you know, Twitch will delete them after like 30 days or something. When you're an affiliate, they don't stay up on your Twitch channel for too long. So if you ever have like missed a live stream and you wanted to go watch the VOD and it's expired on Twitch, or just like, I don't know, we reference something and you want to go back and watch something again, they are all on my YouTube channel, not my main YouTube channel. So I'll put the link in here for anyone who cares, just in case. This is the second channel, and I'm now getting into a workflow where every Tuesday I will upload the Twitch VOD. At that point, it's still live on Twitch, so it doesn't really matter to you Twitch folks. But if you want to watch older ones, you can go there to do it. Okay, so we like could keep going with some yellow, but I think I want to fill in some of this blue. Mostly because, like I was saying earlier, I think it would just feel nice for my brain to just kind of be doing some columns of lines at this point in the evening. And also the yellow, I was just having to switch between all the yellows a lot. So we're gonna do some blue. We're gonna do some Munchkinland blue. Oop, not that. Maybe we'll start all the way over here. Oh, I love a good long line of stitches. Like, truly one of my favorite things. Like, my brain just really likes that. Like, when I get to a point in a pattern where I'm just doing a long line or a lot of long lines or like solid coverage of the same color, it's just like, oh, like I can just relax. Like watching a good TV show and just doing a big block of one color stitching. Nothing feels better to my smooth brain Okay, 809. That is not 809. This is 809. A little nice bright, not bright, but like light blue. Almost periwinkle vibes, just very slightly. Thank you for saying thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Sometimes I sort of just like go off on things and I'm like, I don't know if anyone really cares about this thing I'm offering, but I'm gonna keep talking, so I appreciate that. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I wait more minutes, it will be 809. Whoa, what if I started lining up times to DMC colors? Like, I'm not even sure. I guess for this stream of time, this time for the stream that I usually do, it would just be between the 600s to the 800s. Yeah, we could come up with like, I mean, how fast can I? Wait, that could be like a race. This would be such a good like long live stream or like subathon kind of thing. Is like every minute, how many stitches can you get to of that DMC color? So at like 701, how many stitches of 701 color? At 702, how many stitches of 702 color? I think either I would need to prep this with like everything already threaded, or it's like I do every other minute. This is a fun concept. Cross-stitch racing. We could compete. I could collab with someone and we could compete, or like, yeah, I'd have to have them all set up. This is a fun idea. I like this one. This also feels like probably not the thing to do on the inaugural YouTube live stream. This feels like something that like all you crafty people would have more fun with. This is like a goofy thing that we do. I'm trying to think of what I want to do for the first YouTube stream. It'll still be cross-stitching, but I'm like, do I come up with some kind of like pattern that'll be interesting to people who like have not watched my crafty live streams before? One way to help use more colors is people in different time zones could let you know their time to get more options. The more channel points a person donates, the longer I have for a color. Oh, something like that could be interesting. Also, I did not finish my yellow floss. It's just hanging here. Okay, we gotta finish this floss. That's very cool. Yeah, I always need more interactive channel point ideas like that. I have a lot of world building kind of channel point ideas that I am slowly working on, but interactive, like participatory ones like that, I'm always open to more suggestions. So that's maybe one cool thing to do, at least for that particular exercise for cross-stitch racing. Or maybe it's like, I don't know, if people donate, I do their time zone, because I feel like having the minute is kind of crucial to this idea. Like, you only have the time that is on the clock. But if someone's like, you know, it's 11 p.m. for me, then I can do 1 something. Spreading it out into like 3 to 5 increments, maybe. Yeah, I think one thing is to potentially test myself and see how fast I actually do stitch. Less time wasted switching. Yeah. Yeah, and like, if I'm really trying to go fast, I'm probably not going to be chatting. And so I'd want to like think, okay, maybe I'm just doing like 5 in a row and then we stop and we see how it went. We chat and that kind of thing. Because it might be, I mean, I could get some exciting music going, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'd need to get a friend to be a commentator or something so that it can be a little bit more entertaining as people watch me just stitching as fast as I can. I get a certain amount of time to prepare each new color. Yeah, something like that. I gotta think that through. I do like the idea of having a bunch lined up, like, already on needles, and then I'm just, like, going. Or maybe they've even, like, I've started them already. I've got, like, a line, like, parking method style. Like, so they're already, like, loop started, ready to go on the canvas, and then I just pick it up in the canvas. That could be cool. So many options. And I have now passed 8:09. The whole joke started because it was like, oh no, I gotta wait to start this DMC 8:09 at 8:09 p.m. And then here we are. This would be like the opposite of racing, but one thing that I've wanted to do, I think I've described this project on stream before, but, oh no, do I have a knot immediately, like, right in here? Can I just pull it out? Yes, I could just pull it out. That's great. But I've thought about wanting to do this project on stream, and that's like making my own movable version of the entire DMC catalog. So you can buy like DMC cards. There's cheaper ones that are just like pictures of every color. So you sort of have like a glossary that you can reference that's not a website. And you can buy fancier ones that actually have little bits of the floss for every color. But I saw someone once who had like plastic canvas like I've been using for the wingspan and did maybe like, I don't know, 4x10 little squares of plastic canvas for every single Ada, and she stitched on them with the correct colors, and then she put little magnets on the back. And so she can, like, when she's designing something, she can pull them out and like put them together to kind of decide how the colors would look. And that's another one that just feels so satisfying to me, to be stitching a bunch of little squares of each color from the DMC catalog. And so that would be like the opposite of racing, but similar color blocking that I just would enjoy doing at some point. There are repeating pattern designs that officially just use one color. That'd be a fun pattern to do this for, so it becomes colorful, but also something besides just blocks or lines of color. Fair enough, yeah. Clearly I like my lines and my blocks of color, but that is a good point. Oh, and Limical saw a pattern for all the DMCs. Like a pattern like similar to what Sarah's saying, where it's something that is not just lines or blocks of color. Was it something where like someone made a more of an illustration using every single color? Or was it like an index? Just an index. Okay, yeah. That's kind of what I'm talking about, but I want them to all be separate pieces with magnets. And one day, when I have my dream of a chalkboard in my office, I could put them up on there when I'm designing something. And I guess otherwise I would just house them in a... Or maybe they should be Velcro, and then they'd like all be in Velcro lines in a kind of folder. I do just love an index. I mean, I love a bibliography and endnotes a lot more than an index, but I do love an index. Always disappointed when there's not an index to a book. Also disappointed when things that you think should be cited are not cited. There was something I was trying to reference in a book today, and I was like, ooh, I'll look at her citations to see where she got this fact that she's spouting. And there's footnotes all around this fact for other things in this chapter, but not for this. And it just seems like something that you should very much be fact-checking and providing a source for. And I am annoyed when printed books don't do that well. What if you accidentally put a Velcro one on top of another floss? Wouldn't that make the floss all meh-looking? Very good point. Limical also says Velcro gets too messy over time. Okay, strong point. This is why I workshop ideas. Good points all. Enjoy your workout class, Sarah. Congratulations on continuing to go. I hope that means that you've been enjoying yourself. And thanks for stopping by and for sharing all of your good ideas tonight. Just making sure I didn't have a knot on the back. It felt a little bit weird, but I think we're good. I also keep thinking that this one little stitch is like a crumb or something. I keep trying to be like, oh, get off of here. It is just now occurring to me, for the first time in many, many weeks, that when you use a stand to cross stitch on, as I currently am, you are meant to cross stitch using both hands, where your dominant hand stays on the back and then your non-dominant hand pulls the floss out. And I have not been doing that. Should I try doing that for a little bit? I don't think I like it. I prefer my one-hand method. But I know that if you get good at the two hands, you can stitch a lot more quickly. This is perhaps a good tip for you, Limical, as you were trying to stitch 2500 before Wednesday. You need all of the how to cross-stitch fast advice you can get. There's also the, if you take it off the hoop and just stitch in hand, then you can stitch more quickly because you're kind of just, putting it through the top each time, but that is also very tricky. These are both methods that theoretically are faster, but they take longer to learn and to get proficient enough at for it to actually be faster. Okay. Cool. We got this whole little section done here. That's looking nice. I do always like, whether it's actually full coverage or it's just part of a pattern that's going to be full coverage, once you start getting to the point where it's all filled in, it feels very nice. It feels very satisfying to no longer have any gaps there. So should we, maybe we'll start here, and then we'll start in this column, and then go over one more column, just so the floss isn't stretching too far on the back there. Oh man, I just remembered that I still have laundry hanging in the backyard, and I'm gonna have to get that when I'm done with the stream. Go back out in the dark and the cold to get my laundry, and then I have to fold it all. I also have many dishes to do. The chores that just never end. Dishes and laundry are the primary ones for me. And I guess vacuuming and stuff. But dishes and laundry are dishes are a multiple times a day chore. Throw some strawberry seeds out there while you're grabbing your laundry. I gotta check if I have strawberry seeds. I have my strawberry plant from last year, and I don't know if it's just gonna like pop back up. I think it will, because the thing with strawberries is that like they often don't bear fruit in their first year, so I assume my plant's just gonna come to life again. But these are the kinds of things that I need to do a little bit of research on as I start planning my garden. Although it is so far away before I can actually put anything in the ground here, because last frost in New England is so late in the year. Like, you basically don't really plant until last week of May, kind of at the earliest. But I learned the hard way last year that the chipmunks really love seeds. Once my plants got to just past their seedling point, the chipmunks kind of stayed away. I didn't have like too bad of problems with them. They ate some of my tomatoes, but like wasn't a huge deal. But with the seeds, I just like couldn't keep seeds in the ground. The chipmunks were taking them out all the time. So annoying. And so I was like, I really should have started these seeds indoors, and then I could have transplanted them outside at the point that the chipmunks would not be as interested in them. And I'll also know to put some protection around them, like netting and old bottles of juice and cayenne pepper, everything that I can do to get the chipmunks to stay away. I guess I didn't have great success with any methods keeping them out of the front pots, some flower pots. And chipmunks or some kind of creature really liked those. Those were always getting messed up. Pumpkins also do not do great at being transplanted. You really want to direct sow those at all possible. Just like put the seeds right into the ground. So I'll have to be really careful with those and just stay very vigilant with the chipmunks. Sometimes I'll just see the chipmunks coming at my plants from my bedroom window, and I'll shout at them, or I'll tap on the window, and then they get scared and run away. As we approach springtime, and I start thinking of all the things that need to happen around the house, I'm also reminded that when the air conditioning turned back on last spring, it brought with it many, many wasps coming out of the vents, like inside. There would just be wasps in the house coming out of the air conditioner vents, which like sounds a bit like a horror movie. The good news was that the wasps were, like, the journey they had taken through the vents left them a bit confused and lethargic. So they were pretty easy to take care of, but it was still kind of freaky. And yeah, I had to like kind of clean out the vents and spray a bunch of stuff in there to try to get the wasps to stop coming out of my vents. I think I should just do a better cleaning of the like outside air conditioner unit this year, and by better I mean at all, because this is the first time in my adult life I've had central air conditioning, which I'm very, very grateful for. Kind of doubt I'll have at my next place. And so I didn't know that that was a thing that you were supposed to do. Hey Irish, welcome in. Welcome in. We're at the sort of sleepy towards the end of the stream as I talk about wasps coming out of my air conditioning vents. Oh, I'm sorry you missed the notification. Yeah, the Return to Oz notification. Working on a little Emerald City of Oz pattern right now. But yeah, I was thinking probably in the next 5 or so minutes I might wrap this up. Maybe even sooner, actually, because this floss is almost done. And that always feels like a natural ending moment. But Irish, you can always watch the VOD. Goodbye, Limical. Best of luck with the thing you're trying to complete by Wednesday. And yeah, have a good night. Thanks for popping in. Thanks to everyone who's popped in. Now that we are coming to the end of the stream here. Sorry, Irish. But I am gonna check out who I might be able to raid. Specifically, NASA. Let's go raid NASA. Oh, I should have had this more up here all night. Although that's a little bit harder ergonomically for me, but it looks better on camera. Yeah, we've been going since 6 p.m. It's 8:30 now, so I know that's on the shorter side for a lot of Twitch streamers, but that's about my regular. Let's check out how this went. Whoop, there we go. Oh, Tom, been lurking. Well, thanks for popping in and saying hi. I hope that you've gotten... Oh, you've been doing some writing and stuff. Well, I hope that you've gotten some good writing and other work done. Oh. And let's do a final progress update on the stitches here. So we did 110 on this pattern. Well, really, it just gets us up to just over 2,000 now done in total on this pattern. And 130 stitched today. Oh, a little bit on the lower side, I guess. But for even weave, actually, that's pretty good. I go slower on even weave. Thanks, Irish. This is a pattern by Jody Rice of Satsuma Street. I found it in the World of Cross Stitch magazine. Around the time the Wicked movies were coming out, I saw a few folks on the cross-stitching subreddit had also discovered this pattern and done it, so it is definitely out there to be found. I think I did find it on the Satsuma Street website last time I was doing this on the stream, so if you're interested in it, check out the Satsuma Street website, look up Jody Rice's Emerald City design. It's a very fun one, yeah. Very, very fun little pattern here. It's one of the first ones that I, like, bookmarked when I first got into cross-stitching, and was like, wow, one day when I'm better. And then I, several months in, was like, I'm just gonna start it. What am I waiting for? And now it's just kind of been one of my background patterns for years, that when I am either in between patterns or when I've been working on projects that are a bit more cognitively challenging, I like to come back to easier ones in between just to sort of have a little bit of a break. So that's what we were doing tonight. Ooh, blowing a gale out there, and it's 1:30. Well, I'm sorry that I could not help you get to sleep with my soothing, dulcet tones. But we'll see who we might raid, and maybe they will help you get to sleep. Ooh, you know what? NASA, still streaming. I'm gonna raid NASA. The Artemis II crew is currently flying around the moon. So this is a stream where you can see the moon and a little part of the Orion spacecraft. Occasionally they cut to the camera inside the spacecraft, and they've got some hosts in ground control. Looks like in Houston, maybe in Cape Canaveral, who are sort of like talking through a lot of the science. So them and the astronauts are talking about like the volcanoes on NASA. Tom, I wonder if you were in the stream when I was. Was it shortly before I started streaming? Because I did hear an astronaut say 6'7" unrelatedly, and then I was like, oh my god, everyone's gonna say it. But then I was busy, so I didn't check the chat. I'm sure they... Wow, cool, Tom, we were watching the stream at the same time. Well, I'm going to port you back over to NASA now. That's who I want to raid tonight, because I'm just gonna... I'm gonna go back to watching NASA while I clean up and finish my snacks and my fancy drink for the night. So yeah, let's see. And I did see other people raiding into NASA, so I should be able to. Just feels fun to raid NASA. Feels so silly. It almost feels like raiding, oh, who is it? I forgot the artist that everyone was like, what? He has a Twitch, and turns out he streams like every day. Anyways, we're gonna raid NASA. Honestly, I don't feel like we need a raid message. There's too much going on in that chat. If you want to say full moon joy, because that's the new Artemis 2 phrase, you could say that. But that chat's moving so quickly. I think we're just gonna raid over and we're just gonna enjoy the sights of the moon and see what's going on the moon. Because sometimes science and science is always great, but sometimes technology is great. And this is one of those times. So in any case, thank you all so much for being with me here tonight. I really appreciate it. I will be back next week with some kind of cross-stitch project. We will see. Longer stream coming up later this month on a Wednesday afternoon Eastern time. More about that next week. Or follow my social media, Jack is Not a Bird, on Instagram. Okay, thank you all so much for coming. I hope you all have a great night and a great week. Let's go raid NASA!